Hello, everybody. I'm Jean Du Bois. I thank you for listening. I started off doing videos when my son passed. It acted as a form of therapy for me, and I did a couple on grief. And as I was sitting thinking about the coronavirus and the shelter in place, I started to think, well, maybe I should do another one. I do understand what you're going through. In addition to be a grieving mother, at the time I did the first video, I'm also a counselor, a Christian counselor, certified Christian counselor. And I just thought about the many people and those that I volunteer to help. I'm on a couple of prayer lines and I pray with sisters 365 days a year with 2 or 3 different prayer lines. And so, and we talk and we encourage one another. My ministry itself is called SOGM. It's Stuck on Go Ministry. And I minister to people that are stuck. And I thought grief would be a good topic today, that the grief from the coronavirus and then there are other things that are going on, that we don't want to get stuck there. We know that grief is normal. And I just want to encourage those that are going through grief. So if feel free, if you want to share the video with someone, just tell them to click it on. But I just want to encourage people. I want to encourage you, if you minister to somebody, that grief is normal. That's one of the emotions that God has given us. And grief, researchers have come up with 5 steps. Some people may have 7 steps, but normally I just go through 5 steps of grief. And in the 5 steps, they don't necessarily have to be in order. I think of them in terms, in order to remember, it helps me out to put them in alphabetical order, that we go through grief. Now, grief is different for everybody. Experiences grief differently. The length of time you experience grief, there's no length of time. You can, some people may act like they got over it earlier, then some people may go on and on. However, you can't tell a person how long they can grieve. And there may be times you feel like you have to say something to an individual, you're trying to comfort them. And there are times when you are with a person that's grieving, you don't have to say anything. Your presence sometimes can be enough. You may just give them a listening ear, listen to what it is that they have to say. So you don't necessarily have to say anything. There are no correct ways. However, the Holy Spirit leads you to minister to that person, and presence can be there. Present there to comfort them, a present just to get a glass of water. So those that have a loved one or family member that are grieving, that just remember that it's okay for them to grieve. It's okay for them to cry. And you're just there to support them. Keep them from harming themselves and someone else. There is such a thing as good grief. When I was going through, I'm an early morning person, like a 3 and 4 a.m. in the morning person. There's not a lot of people you can call at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would just Google and I would research on grief. It helped. I would listen to other testimonies on YouTube about grief, what people were going through. And so that helped me a lot. And that's one thing, is that encouraging me to make the video that I may be able to help somebody else, because I was looking for people that are grieving, and it helped me. So I have this encourage you as well. Now, there are 3 popular phases of grief, and the first one is anger. The person feel angry. They may be angry at God. They may be angry at a maid or somebody that the deceased person is with. But there's anger. And a lot of times it may be misdirected anger right now, but they are still angry. So if you're the person that's there to trying to comfort them, you need to be aware that anger is okay. As long as they are not trying to hurt themselves or someone else, you're just to be there. Your presence is there to help them, and it may not be in words, just to keep them from injuring themselves or someone else during their grief stage. Some people may need a shoulder, a real shoulder to cry on. It may wet your shirt, your blouse, your dress, or whatever, but somebody needs someone there that can cuddle them and hold them as they go through that grief. So you look for that. But anger is a normal part of grief. Now, we can find a lot of things to be angry about, especially with the many people that have passed away due to the coronavirus. You may be angry at another continent that maybe they didn't do all they could to keep the spreading of the virus down. You may be angry with your president. You may be angry with your representative, your governor, your whoever that you may be blaming. So know that that person will be angry, and it could be at anyone. It could be angry at themselves. And so what I like to say is let them get it out. Long as they are not a danger to themselves or someone else. Another stage is acceptance. There are some people, when you come and you tell them the loved one is passed, they accept it. They realize it. My experience with acceptance is when a person had a lingering illness, and you come and you find out that person has passed, the family members are more accepting with that because you expected that to happen. Quick accidents, it's hard to accept. You people, I don't believe it. I need to see it. I don't believe it. It's a little bit more difficult to accept. Now, acceptance can be at the beginning of those 5 steps, or it could be at the end of the 5 steps. And we have to go through all the other 4 steps, and finally they realize he's not coming back. He's not coming back in the driveway. I don't hear the key in the lock, but that person is not coming back. So you have the acceptance, and you have anger. And that third step is blaming. And I put blaming and bargaining together, and blaming could go with a couple of these steps. But blaming and bargaining, that in anger you're blaming someone, and then when you are bargaining, you could be blaming somewhere. With bargaining, you may not realize, for me, with bargaining, I didn't realize that was what I was doing initially. It took a while for me to realize that I was kind of bargaining in an early stage. In my particular case, my son had been injured, and my bargaining part of it, it was I had to go to where he was, and I was like, Lord, don't. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye, and that was an important thing for me. I didn't have an opportunity to say goodbye. And so that's like a type of bargaining. Give me an opportunity to say goodbye before my loved one passes on. And so that's your bargaining stage. Now, another stage that we can have, and we won't hate for you to go there. You go through sadness, you may go through disappointment, but that all critical stage is depression. When a person becomes chronically depressed because of the loss of a loved one, you need to get help. There's such a thing as good grief, and then there's such a thing as like tilting to the other side. It's an unhealthy grief. They're becoming a danger to themselves or someone else at this point. They may have stopped doing self-care. You see that person isolated themselves. You see that person have just plain stopped talking and don't want to eat. In the beginning, it's okay if they don't eat. You're grieving, you don't feel like eating, and people want to shell food at you even during the repast. But over a period of time, 2 or 3 weeks, they should be eating something. So when you find a person is stopping self-care, they're dressing, uh, taking a shower, there should be a concern that symptoms of depression. So it may be an opportunity for you to talk and see can you get some additional counseling for help for that person. Because you do again, you do not want them to do harm to themselves or anyone else. So it's okay to grieve. If you're going through stuff, it's okay. The length of time, no one can tell you how long to grieve. We are there just to keep you and your family members may be around you just to keep you from harming yourself. You go through grief, you're going to remember your last moment you spent with that person. You rehearse that over and over, what you said, the conversation, maybe even what they uh, had on. But one of the biggest things about grief is people blaming themselves. And I just want to encourage you that you don't blame yourself. There's nothing that you could have done because life and death is in God's hand. And we need to remember that. So I just wanted to share that, the stages of grief that you go through, and some may not, some stages you go through and there's no order to it. And it's okay to grieve a loss of a loved one. And I even say it's okay to those, there are people that don't want to grieve because maybe the person that passed away had a bad reputation, or that person may have passed away doing something illegal at some place he shouldn't have been. But still, it's okay if you grieve that individual. That was a life, and that life is no longer with you. And long as a person is living, we have an opportunity to see them change their ways and turn around. So I encourage you, I'm here to help you and to encourage you. If you think you, your friend, or loved one need additional counseling on help, reach out to someone. It could be your pastor, it could be a close friend, so that you can get the help you need. Now, in this time with the coronavirus, in shelter in place, I know many deaths was a sudden death you didn't expect. Within 2 to 3 weeks, things happen. I know people have lost multiple friends that they've lost. People have lost multiple relatives. And in the time that we're in right now with the virus, you may not even be able to have the funeral. Remember I said with my son, and I was going to see him, and said I didn't have a chance to say goodbye. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye. But I can tell you, God gave me a chance to say goodbye. That incident with him, that wasn't the one into death. It was God gave me 7 years to say goodbye. And then when it happened, I had more of an acceptance, not of an anger, of an acceptance. And it's been a while, so I can tell you it's something that you don't get over easily. So you do have a right to grieve. There are 5 stages to the grieving process, and one of them is anger. There's acceptance. There is blaming. There's depression, and you have a bargaining stage. So I just want to encourage you. It's okay, but get some help for yourself or for a family member. Don't let them self-isolate. Don't let if you see that they're neglecting themselves, you want to get some help from them. So that's my new video, and my desire is to submit one on a regular basis, something that would help you and my sisters and brothers that I talk to on a regular basis, just to encourage. My thing in life is to encourage people, not to discourage them, to help and not to hinder. Ministry again is stuck on go, and I minister to people stuck, and I don't want you getting stuck in grief. It's okay, but there's a certain point that you could get stuck, and I don't want you there. So again, if you need help, get it. And you like this video, thank you for coming in. If you like it, I'll be making some more come in. Let me know that you like it, subscribe, and do me a thumbs up. So this is Hetty signing off during this coronavirus. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.